Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignot, CEO of D-Flash, the Experience Communications Agency. Each week, I bring on interesting people who are doing game-changing things, and this episode is no different. I'm super excited to be sitting down with my fellow board members of the Fly Female Founders. And we're going to have a great chat about what they're up to, what Fly Female Founders is, and anything else that seems kind of fun or interesting. Have a listen. So to start off, I'll say hi to Laurel.
Hi, I am Laurel Cudden, founder of Grade A Safety here in New York City.
I'm Nancy Ruzow, founder of Ruzow Graphics, Creatives Roundtable, and the Design for Democracy Chair for the AIGA Connecticut.
Hi everyone, I'm Sweta Vikram. I'm a wellness entrepreneur, speaker, and author, and I'm also the founder CEO of Nimi Life.
Hi, I'm Felicia Stingone. I am the co-founder and strategist for Chief Marketing Partners and also one of the co-founders of Fly Female Founders.
Hi, I'm Carol Tuite. I'm a freelance business writer and the co-founder of Franklin Street Policy Group, which helps business and policy professionals connect in New York City.
So ladies, I ask everyone the same first question, and I think it's going to be a really good one with you guys. And anyone can jump in. This is a conversation. What was your first job?
Of course, this is totally up my alley and something I never thought I'd ever do, but I worked for a small family company who owned a Dairy Queen. So that was an awesome summer.
Oh my gosh.
And we're slinging ice cream.
Oh my gosh. Sprinkles galore.
How old were you?
Oh, well, I could ride my bicycle, but I couldn't drive. So I guess I was like 15.
Oh, awesome.
So I'll jump on. I was also 15. I also had to ride my bicycle. I was a bar girl at a catering hall.
Bar girl? If you're 15, how are you getting alcohol?
Well, it was a private catering hall that was actually attached to a synagogue. So there was no labor law situation. And basically, but they had a really, really nice venue, and so they had really nice events. And as a bar girl, if you remember at that time, you were allowed to smoke anywhere you wanted. So all we had to do was bring drinks back and forth and empty ashtrays.
Oh, wow.
And I rode my bike there and back till I got
such a healthy job.
It was such a healthy job.
But you felt wild and free because back then you didn't have to wear a helmet.
I felt wild and free because I didn't have to wear a helmet, but it was great because everybody, all the other waitresses and bartenders were older than I were at the time, obviously. So it was a great learning experience, right? To meet with older people and hang out with older people and feel cool because they had money.
See, this is what happens. Everyone's first job always correlates to what they were doing when their very first job. So you were working for Dairy Queen, what do you do now? Same deal. You're babysitting people, same thing.
That's so interesting. So I'm Indian, if that's not evident. So I wasn't
it was not like that.
I wasn't allowed any part-time jobs in college or in grad school because Indian parenting is not giving you enough pocket money. So I couldn't wait to graduate from grad school, and I got my first job after my first master's degree at the age of 21.
After your first master's degree?
Yeah.
Girl!
Yes, that's Indian parenting for you, right? And I had enough arguments with my dad, and his only thing was, there was no concept of kids working and going to college. So it was like, are we not giving you enough pocket money? That's not the point. I watch Hollywood films and people go to work when they're young. But so my first job was with Kellogg's in Bombay.
Oh,
and interestingly enough, nutrition and marketing.
See?
Sort of the wellness space that I'm in now. Yeah, and I was selling, I say that with quotes, chocos, like the Cocoa Puffs, those kind of breakfast cereals, to kids. And I totally believed, I was doing such a good thing. And I met my husband around that time, and he was like, my God, you work with Cocoa Puffs? We are so getting married. I exaggerate about that, but yeah.
Not by much anymore.
Not by much.
I don't think my first job relates to what I do at all anymore. I was 13. I would take the city bus to my uncle's discount drugstore where I was a cashier with my cousin, Deb, who was just visiting me this weekend, and we would blast Steely Dan the entire time we were playing. And we would save our money to go out and get stoned.
At 13?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
All right. I did not want to know that about you.
Starting really young.
that doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me either.
It doesn't surprise me also that you were working the register.
Yeah,
You're good with money.
As I'm saying, it always correlates. No matter what anyone says, there's something about your original first job that correlates to what you do now in some way, shape, or form. Whether you like something and you're like, I kept doing it, or you hated something and you weren't going to do it. And so, it's always fascinating to see how we all are able to do this sort of thing. So, hey, Felicia, when you're not like discombobulated.
So, so Laura, we've talked about this before, so I'm going to go back even further.
Okay.
It's like one of those scenes in a movie where it goes, boo.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was 15, I also got my first job. I worked in retail, which I loved and continued to work in until I went to school, and I worked in a children's store selling teeny tiny clothing. And the funny part is that, when you work in a children's store, it helps to actually understand children. And at 15, I did not.
And now you have a couple of them.
Oh, I have a few of them. But that was my first job, retail, and I absolutely loved it. I didn't ride my bicycle. My poor mother had to drive me to work and pick me up from work. So probably she spent as much on gas as I made. But it was a cool first job.
Awesome.
I loved it.
Yeah, that's the thing that's always fascinating to me, that we always... It's interesting because, like, my first job, which I don't think no one's ever asked me on my own show.
What was your first job?
So, my first job was I was a summer counselor at this like center for teens in my town, and so it was kind of ridiculous. I got the job. My very first day, my mom makes me wear a business suit. because we're
Why?
Because I have Jamaican parents. And so
at least they let you have a job.
And so they all wanted me to be like an adult because they thought I was going to have like a real job. So I wore like a striped business like shirt and like dress pants and like heels. And I walked over the center because it was like 5 minutes from my house. And I get there, I sit down in the chair that's sitting there. And then people start coming up to me and asking me if I know where the bathroom is. Oh, yeah, I think it's back there, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, so, I think it's your first day here as the office manager. We'd like you to go do this, and that. Because when I was 17, dressed in a business suit, I must have looked like I was 35.
Oh, my God.
And so all the other kids who were there all thought I was their boss. And I was like, this could be useful for me. So it was bananas. And so the entire summer, they all treated me as if I was their boss. And not much has changed.
No, it hasn't. That's so funny.
It was a very game-changing job for me because I learned a lot about differences in terms of like, I lived 7 minutes away to the east, and the kids who were also worked there lived 7 minutes to the west. And we might have been on two different planets, even though we were the exact same color.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I went to the private school, and all the kids who else worked there went to the public school, which was terrible.
Yeah.
And our lives couldn't have been any more different.
Yeah, and you start to pick those things up when you're young. Like you're in your little bubble, and then all of a sudden you kind of like peck your way out like your little egg tooth, and you're like, oh, this is what the rest of the world is like. And it happens like in waves,
It's interesting because, with this like college scandal and like what's happened recently, when I think back to what that was like and thinking about like what terrible education these kids were getting and what awesome education I was getting, and you realize that geography and just circumstance, and literally 7 minutes difference. Like, it's a 7-minute walk.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to refer to a sitcom, but I did watch Blackish last night because I'm just going to admit it's one of my favorite shows.
It's a great show.
And they were talking about that. They approached that issue. They had all their kids in private school, and then their older son decided to go to public school, and he ended up loving it. But they were discussing that issue of how 3 blocks, or the difference between public and private school can make such a big difference in terms of your access to opportunity.
But that's kind of what our group can do too. Being Fly Female Founders and being mobile throughout the city, we're bringing women together and opening up some avenues that when you're singular or solopreneur,
and you're alone, you need resources.
Yeah,
and that's what
you don't see the vision, you don't see the bigger picture of what the collaboration is as women.
And it's so isolating. Like when I went from working for a large corporate organization, which I enjoyed, I used to work with lots of teams, and then I went to school and I went out on my own, and it was so isolating. I was so lonely. I mean, thank goodness I had my partner partner, Miki, and thank goodness she found Civic Hall and places like that where we could congregate with other people. But it was so isolating to work on my own all day long and not have a community. So that's why it was so great that we got together with you guys and found this whole community of people who, we can share experiences.
Yeah, I think it's also about raising your vibration. I know it's like this hashtag, which is very popular, but it's one of those cliches which I think is so important because there are things that are wrong in the world, and just cribbing about it will not change the circumstances.
Absolutely.
We have to find solutions. And that comes from having conversations at a positive level. Like, to your point, making female founders what we do, making it more accessible. Getting women solopreneurs from or business owners who have like 1,000-member team. That's not a criteria. It's people with dreams. Yeah. Women supporting each other. Yeah. And to me, that's what is like really raising your vibration when you have conversations at this level.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of dovetailing the question I was going to ask. Thanks for stealing it. Then, what makes it so unique to have fly female founders? Because I've been two different versions of myself as a member of a female of FFF. I can't talk now. One, when we were at a bigger team, and we were all located in one place, and two, when a smaller team and everyone's virtual. And the one constant in my life in the last 4 years has actually been this group.
Yeah, I'm going to say that the one constant in my life has also been this group. And, we've been through a lot together. Our members have been through a lot. One of our members passed. I mean, there's been a lot. And I will say the fact that no matter how our circumstances change as an organization, like we just roll with it. We just move on to the next thing and we move on to the next thing. But I did feel that isolation and loneliness as a solo entrepreneur, and for me, it sounds a little trite, and I don't know if you guys agree, but I think this concept of co-working is really revolutionary. It's not like the open office plan. It's something much larger than that. It doesn't matter which co-working space it is, but you do definitely plug into the vibes of the space. And so what we've created is like a co-working community that doesn't actually have a physical place.
Well, the funny thing is that a lot of us met at a co-working community that we no longer work at. And
it doesn't exist anymore.
The community stopped.
Well, we formed the community there, and it really became a great group of people. And I've worked on my own for a really long time, and this is just great being able to connect with other people who aren't people that I'm hiring. Yeah. They're people that
your clients that
we collaborate. Yeah. So it's just really, really nice to have that networking with the other people that you feel a kinship over anything, whether it's your marketing or how to start up your business or what kind of an accountant do you want to use. And there are so many different people from PR people to marketing to events to there's somebody who owns their own cleaning business. It's just a really, really nice group of people who you're meeting on the level of business, not the level of necessarily what they do, but the fact that they have a business that they run.
Yeah, and I think there's one thing to read about positive thinking and what naysayers can do. It's another thing to be surrounded by women and entrepreneurs. Like for me, when I had to step back because of my health stuff, when I came back, this was one of the first meetings or anything that I did outside of my personal life was the event in February. And it was because I knew, wherever you are, when you hear 20 other women talk about how amazingly well they're doing, it's like, shit, I can do this too. It's available to all of us. And literally, you come I texted Laura, I'm going to San Francisco, do you know anyone, blah, blah, blah. And she, literally hooked me up with someone there. I met them, they are in part of the wellness field. And literally, that's the other thing. It's not just all, literally, if you've been on the dark side, this group will bring you back into the light. And I say that from my personal experience.
Well, Carol, I told her the other day on the phone, she's become this very important person in my life in terms of being able to talk about career development and personal development, and just wonderful to have a wise person actually listening to me, because I don't even think I listen to myself half of the time, and introducing me to Inspiring Capital and just introducing each other to things, because sometimes you mentioned, Sweta, we're on autopilot, right? And I think we wake each other up out of autopilot and say, here's something shiny and beautiful that could be an opportunity for you. Open your eyes and notice it,
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I found here, where it's just like, you just never know what everyone else is going through. And when you have somewhere where it's a home, and if it's kind of like funny, like I've seen so many women come up and say, like, this has been the best thing I've done all month.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I've heard that from a number of people.
And I think, we hear a lot about these organizations, and it oftentimes it's got a lot of hokey BS. And I think one of the reasons that this works really, really well is that it comes from a place of really authentic women. Mm-hmm. And, if you look around this room, there's a picture that Sweta just took, which you'll see when I post this. This is a very unique, this is the board. And so when it starts at the top, and that the board is diverse in age, in business, and in race, and location, mm-hmm. it allows different perspectives to shine through. And I think that we exude that when we're at the breakfast and we interact with the people who are here. Yeah. And I think that's very unique to organizations, because I've been a part of a bunch. And there are very few I still am a part of because people are annoying.
Well, what's interesting, and I think it's worth noting, that we are entrepreneurs and business people first, and then we happen to be women. So what I love about this group is the subject is never about our being women. It comes up as a factor of the. And that's what I think is very important to me, because we provide valuable information that really any entrepreneur would find valuable. But because we come at it from a perspective and, that is specific to the obstacles that we face as women, it's extremely useful. But I really appreciate that it never devolves into male bashing, or it's not the issue. I mean, we can talk about those things, and we do, but not as part of our program, our curriculum, the way we approach our organization. That's been really important to me.
But also that positivity, and that the fact that all of our talks are focused on how to help you do something, how to help you be in business better, be a better business person.
Yeah.
I think also attracts a group of people that are really interested in that. They're not interested in backbiting. They're not interested in male bashing. They're not interested in complaining about a bunch of things. I mean, of course, we complain about how to do something better, but I think that that diversity has also grown organically from the very beginning, because it's really about being positive and connecting.
It is about positive.
It's something that I mentioned to Carol maybe last week. I was at one of the meetings, and something that came up was a bunch of people, expressing their disdain towards either men or money. And I walked away thinking that the whole idea of being a community is to lift each other up. And I think that's what everybody has touched upon that at Fly Female Founders. What we do so well is, okay, you're here, how can we help you get to the next level? How can I connect you to this person? Instead of saying, no, this one. So it's not the victim mode, we're much more the positive survivor mode, I think, and I really like that about this group.
And I think that in the connecting, it's really our speed networking is probably one of the best connectors that we do.
Well, it's certainly the most fun.
Yeah, I do have it. This year I'm going to bring an air horn. So.
Laura does like to move people
Can we
around.
dance this year? Can we
I got you guys dance in January, so maybe in June.
People want to dance.
This is true. I was pleasantly surprised about that, but I'm sorry, Carol.
No. I'm just saying that what's nice about that speed networking is that you get to connect with people that you might not necessarily go sit with.
Yeah,
that maybe they look different than you, or maybe they look too cool or too young or too old or whatever it is, and you start talking to them and you realize you have so much in common with them, and you have so many things that they're saying you're interested in, and you end up connecting with them, and it's another great connector, just a great time to be together.
Or you think their business has nothing to do with yours.
And then
I'm in a food service business, and why would I want to connect with somebody who's doing shoes? Exactly.
Shiny shoes.
Or creating jewelry. But then you realize that you have things in common anyway, and there are ways you can help each other out.
And it just makes you realize the world is really small, and it is. And I love the speed networking. I was one of those people. I was like, what am I doing here? I don't know how to do people. And then you realize, oh God, you could just go on all morning because
With one person.
With one person, because you one-on-one is where you find your comfort zone as well.
Yeah. It's funny because networking was it you and I who were, I don't know who I was talking about this with, but networking, it has such a negative connotation, but if you refer to it as connecting, it has such a positive connotation. And ultimately, what we're providing people with is this incredible judgment-free, really safe space to connect with people. And but if we called it, if we called our group a networking group, it would probably, that language would probably turn off a lot of people.
Yeah. But you had the end of the last meeting that we had where we had all these great people talking about how to become certified businesses, and then at the end, we couldn't kick these people out very quickly.
I think we did kick them out at the end.
The speakers didn't want to stop talking, and then when we finally got them to stop, because we were running out of time with the space we were in, then the people were networking afterwards, and they just wanted to keep networking with one another because they were just had in common the fact that they wanted to grow their business in this way.
It's like we don't just connect, we fly.
That's right.
That's right. Write that down.
Write that down.
Wait, I think your podcast listeners should know that one of our founding members, one of our founding leaders is on a screen listening in, and she doesn't have a voice at the table, but she's here. Hey, Miki!
She's opening our West Coast office eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fly west.
Fly west.
And she promises there'll be lots of avocados there.
Yes.
Oh,
the
yummy.
breakfast meetings, like
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have
lollipops and
avocado
things
toast
like
for
that.
meetings. Last question for you ladies. So where do you think we're going to go next?
Well, LA.
Well, Laurel's going to LA next week.
I think it's helping to formalize the connections, because what we don't have, like Nancy was calling me up and she's like, where is that woman's name? She works at this company and I've spoken to her and I know her, but I don't know who she is. Yeah. So I think that there are a lot of people who have that situation where they've met somebody maybe multiple times, they've spoken with them, they need their name or their business, they remember something about them. We have to kind of jump through hoops to connect them. I think we want to be able to do that in a really seamless way.
Yeah.
Which is why we're looking to, in 2020, add on membership levels with, putting the people in there and what their companies are and, what they do, and so that we can connect them further.
Yeah, I think there's this book that I refer to all the time, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. We've had the privilege of growing organically and authentically in a way that has been just such a gift to all of us. I think we probably have to grow with much more intention, which we've started to do, and really decide not just what we want to be, but what we don't want to be when we grow up as an organization. What are the things that we're going to walk away from in order to do a few things very well? But one of the things I would like to do, and we didn't talk about this at our board meeting today, is I would like to at some point invite young aspirational entrepreneurs who are at CUNY, who are at college, maybe at Baruch or at Pace, to also come and join our events for free and hear female business owners talking about subjects that matter to them. I think we'd be great role models.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it would be really nice to hook up with the system, the CUNY system.
Awesome. Laura, what do you think?
I have so much in my head I can't get the word out first. Being new to the board, but having been a member for a few years now and having worked with all of you in the community space, there's so much value in our authenticity that I think magnetically draws people. And I've been connected with so many people that are completely opposite of me. And personally, I've been figuring out who I am and what I don't want to be. And Felicia, I was so happy that you said that, because I wanted to bring it up before about how we're going to be able to really identify where are the strengths that help elevate everyone to be able to fly around. Especially our group, and be accessible. It's one of the most powerful things, one of the most powerful tools that we have right now, because of the fluidity and the ease that we move and where we set up our meetings and the information that we're sharing with people and the willingness for outsiders to come in
and share with us.
And to share, right. Everybody's building a community through this and with us. And it's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I adore you all, and this was a wonderful conversation, and I knew this would, as I knew it would be. And I hope you all have enjoyed listening. That's our show.
Bye.
Bye.